Hey, everybody. Welcome to episode 16 of Powerbombshells with Sam and Mel. We have been watching a lot of things. We're going to go ahead and tell you right now, if you have not watched Dominion, do not watch the show until you've watched it because we are going to spoil everything.
G1 too, if you're
yeah, and the G1, we're gonna go over that lineup. There's some cool stuff happening this year. There's also someone I want to talk about who is very unhappy about being left out. I saw the actions because I ended up watching. Since I was watching the first part live, I saw the G1 announcement live, and I saw somebody who was tweeting live that they were very.
I missed this. I'm excited.
Yeah, they were very upset that they're not included, and it was just like they shot off 4 or 5 tweets last night. They were not happy.
I didn't know that. Okay, I'm interested in this. This is good.
I'm gonna have to go to their. I didn't think to save the tweets. Hopefully they didn't delete the tweets.
No, that's okay. I'll take your word for it. I believe you. That's awesome. I didn't realize.
Yeah, I was telling Mel before we came on that I assumed that this was just one of the shows that started at 4 a.m., but it started at 1, and I was up, and so I was doing some other things, and I was like, well, I'll just let the undercard play, while and I'll just keep track of who's wrestling and who wins, and I'll just, kind of go about my business. And then I ended up staying up all the way until when I was getting ready to go to bed, it was time for Ace and Tana and Goto. And I was like, well, I'm just going to watch this. And then, so I made it through. So I got the G1 announcements live and saw the real-time reaction from somebody who was not in it, who actually should be in it. And I'm surprised they are not. And we'll get to that in a second, unless you want to cover G1 now.
Wow, we can do either one. Let's see. I think we should probably do G1 first, just because it's real quick, and then we can get into it. Yeah. We're also going to talk about Dominion. I imagine we're going to talk about the card and the outcome and
and
our feels.
Yeah, definitely. And man, Forbidden Door is starting to shape into something completely different now.
It's
definitely going a way out we were not expecting, so we'll get to that too. But yeah, so we'll start with the G1 brackets first. So this year they're doing G1 a little bit different. They are doing 4 brackets of 7, and then I believe, if I'm correct, it's the top vote getters not vote getters, but whoever has the top points in each bracket moves on to the semifinals August 17th, and then the finals are August 18th this year. So there's 28 competitors overall, but it's 4 blocks of 7 is how they're doing it this year. So that should be interesting and I think that was kind of a cool way to shake things up a little bit with the G1, because if you've been watching the show, you know that we love the G1 here.
Oh man, as soon as that moment, I could tell. I mean, Kevin Kelly was basically giving it away. I'm like, you mean the announcement for the G1 participants?
Yeah.
I know. We want to know too. Like, we want to know. We want to know. I like that he was really cute when, I'm putting it out there. Filthy Tom is in the G1.
Yes! I'm so excited.
The jorts are going to Japan. And
my sister called him the Climax jorts when they announced him.
Well done.
And we've been kind of predicting that he was going to be in the G1, so I'm very glad to see it, but also a little sad because that definitely means I don't get to see him in Charlotte, so I don't get to experience the jorts in person. But I was like, I guess being in the G1's an okay trade-off.
No, and he'll be like headlining bigger shows and stuff as a result of this. I flipped out. Bob actually called me in the room. He was like, so what was that? What just happened?
Our prediction came true.
Congratulations to him.
Yes, congratulations.
I mean, and
Tom. I'm very excited.
Happy. Good luck, man.
That's I can't wait to see some of the matchups they get with him. I think it's who did I say when we were watching earlier? I was like, I'd like to see Filthy Tom. I wonder if he'll be in the same bracket with. And now I can't remember who it was. I mean, I definitely would like. I hope he's in a bracket with Juice Robinson because I would like that. Oh, it was Jay White because because we were talking about how because Jay's such a great heel.
Jay.
But we also talk about how much we love Filthy Tom and how he's a great heel. So I would like to see them interact, especially because Jay is he does it often, but in this match in particular, he's very chatty. Like, he talks so much. I mean, he talks a lot of trash anyway, but it just seems like this one he was talking. So I was like, I remember how we've talked about how Filthy Tom's a great heel and he's really good at it. So I'd like to see him and Jay and see how they kind of like play off of each other. I don't know if they'll be in the same bracket or not, but I think that would be a cool one to see. And then
I do. I have a list here, and then if I miss anybody,
I've got the screenshot.
What I think is so funny is that they just put Okada and Tanahashi first. They're like, okay, well, here's the obvious one.
Yeah, they really did. Like the first picture's
Okada. Okay, thanks. They didn't there was no you didn't need to know anything else.
No,
it was like Okada. It was Tanahashi. They were like, you don't need to know anything else. Naito back around for the show today. We got Goto, which was great. Tama Tonga, which I'm excited for. I think that he's been doing a really great job.
Yeah, to see him, because he's kind of in this new where he's not obviously a heel anymore, but he still kind of has those tendencies. Like, he's still like really, just because he's a good guy now doesn't mean that he's lost any of his aggression or anything like that. And so he just. I'm excited to see what he does in this tournament.
He feels like he's on a little bit of a tear, something of a he looks like he's on a little bit of a streak. Like, he's just He looked really good today today, but he's kind of been building in my vision. I've been paying more attention to him.
Yeah, and I noticed that when they popped up the picture on the screen, they were putting in nicknames, and they put the good bad guy. I think that's what his new nickname is. So I was like, I like that. I thought that was pretty cool, and kind of a little bit of an homage to Scott Hall, but then also I just like that they added in the good bad guy. So I thought that was a cool thing, and so I think he'll be looking forward to seeing him in the tournament for sure.
So Shingo Takagi.
The dragon. And then I saw they put the dragon, so I was like, the dragon, and then the next announcement's going to be American Dragon. No American dragon,
but kind of right dragon all at the same time.
Yes, exactly. Yes.
So we have Chase Owens, Bad Luck Fale, and I swear to God, when that popped on the screen, I literally went, of course.
Yeah, I knew. Yeah, I was like, so it seems like it. Yeah, and they at the beginning they were kind of going through like the routine, like the regular guys like we all knew would be in there, and then they're like, oh, and then they popped up like Tom Lawler was the first like surprise, I guess, that they put in there, and so. I was like,
he was.
Yeah, they kind of wanted to. I think they were just like, Okada, regular, normal, regular New Japan guy, Tom Lawler. And then they just, it's a nice little the way they threw that in there. And then Filthy Tom tweeted, and he said, "I'm coming," and he put the G1 Climax hashtag.
Let's see, Evil Juice Robinson, which is great for him.
Yes, and. Guess who else is going to be in there? C-Block champion David Finlay.
I know. Good
He finally made it. I saw him tweet 7 years. I saw it like right before I came on here because I was looking for to make sure we had the list of participants, and he said 7 years in the making. So that is very cool.
For me.
Good for Finlay. And I really hope they've got to do Finlay versus Juice. They have to. We have to get that.
So good.
We have to have that. They better
amazing. I love G1 season.
Me too.
It's the most wonderful time of the year.
It really is. And then they always have those you get the matchups like that you obviously think of automatically, and then there's like those surprise ones that like the sleeper ones that get in there, and those end up being like the bangers, and you're like, how did we miss this happening? So I'm excited for there's some good stuff in here.
Jonah Yoshihashi.
Very excited.
The Jonah thing was I popped for that. Not as hard as Filthy Tom, of course.
Yeah, but then I was like, yay, Jonah, and then I was like, oh, now I don't get him either.
Yeah. It's like it's very bittersweet.
It is. I'm very glad for them, and I'm glad that I'm happy for them. So it's like, and Strong's still gonna be good. I was like, I guess I don't get Jonah or Tom now. But I do get the tag team title finale, so that'll be cool. If you haven't heard, New Japan Strong is getting their second titles. It's the tag team titles. They're going to start the first set of tapings at the Hollywood show, and then they're going to do the finals will be in Charlotte, and so I will be there live, and I'm excited for that. So I'm assuming we'll get the semifinals and the finals as my guess, because they filmed, since I think they filmed 4 episodes at a time. So I believe, I was like, we'll probably at least get those 2. So I'm excited for that.
That's so cool.
Yes.
See, we got Toriano, who got to be in there. Tomohiro Ishii, of course. Jeff Cobb and Great-O-Khan. Yay, we love them. Will Ospreay, Aaron Henare, Sonata. Sonata up in here?
Yes, I think. I'm on the next screen now. But and I just realized it because I screenshot it from New Japan, and they put the little new emoji next to the people who it's their first time. So next to Tom Lawler and Jonah and Aaron Henare.
That, which is, I was like, whoa, really? That kind of surprised me, because he's kind of like a staple, but you don't think about it. I mean, I don't have as wide of a New Japan, knowledge as some people might. So I was like, oh, wow. I'm surprised.
Yeah, I was a little surprised too, but I was like, well, and that makes sense because they're kind of, since they're doing like kind of United Empire heavy now. It makes sense that they're gonna do that, especially because of there's so many Bullet Club guys in this, so now they've got like a pretty decent amount of United Empire, I think, in there too.
United Empire, sort of Bullet Club, a little bit of and then there's, I don't know, those two seem like they're kind of feuding, but also that they're feuding with like the outside promotions that they're working on too.
So it'll be good to see some of the kind of cross, like how they do in matches against each other. Will be interesting.
So Jay White, Kenta.
Yay, Kenta.
Yay, Kenta. El Phantasmo, which did surprise me a little.
That surprised me. Yeah, so he's kind of going to do the
new and different.
Yeah, and he's kind of doing the Shingo Takagi thing, where he's doing BOSJ and G1 at the same time, except for El Phantasmo was actually a junior, where Shingo just barely, they made it, made him be a junior, which I love that BOSJ, because Shingo was phenomenal in that tournament, and then he turned around and killed it in the G1. So, and Phantasmo had a really good BOSJ this year, so I'm interested to see how he does in the G1.
I was catching up on the last few matches, and he really was like, I haven't seen him I feel like I haven't seen him in a while, and then saw him and I was like, oh wow, you've like leveled up.
Yeah, he really has, so good for him. They are rewarding him with that, so that's cool.
So Taichi, Zack Sabre Jr.,
of course,
who we love.
Yes, we do.
You mentioned David Finlay already, and the last one here that I've got, Lance Archer, and I actually saw this pop up and went, cool, he'll be able to wrestle again.
Yeah.
I love AEW. I love them, but I just don't think that they have used Lance Archer at all. I mean,
when I saw him in G1 like a couple years ago, that was the first time like I saw him solo, like because he was in KES when I first started watching, and so I saw his solo stuff, and I was like, I had no idea he could do all of these things. Yeah,
he was. That's my visions, my image when I first saw that, like when his music like hit on the first AEW show that he was on, the first thing that popped into my mind was watching him on that G1, because I had no idea who he was, and there's this guy that I now love, and so I've been really I was really excited for that. I was like, yay.
Yeah, I'm super. And I know some people last night when it was being announced, I think some people were like, "Oh, Lance Archer," and I'm like, "You clearly did not see him in G1 the last time. No, it's not going to be where he's killing Serpentico in 3 seconds. No. He doesn't squash in the G1. He's way more talented than people give him credit for. So I'm glad that he's gonna be, and this is a good group of people, I think. So he should have some really good matches in there. So I think I like this. I think it's a pretty solid G1 class. this year. I think they've got some good people in there. I'm excited to see, obviously, what Filthy Tom does in it, and Jonah, and how ELP, because, you know, like I said, I think he has momentum on his side from having such a great showing in BOSJ, and so I think he'll be able to. I mean, I think he's going to come up to some tests because he's going to be facing some really tough heavyweights probably.
Yeah,
but
definitely.
I think it's going to affect him. But I think he has, just because he has the momentum, I think that definitely will help what he does. So I'm looking forward to G1 this year. And then I guess since we were talking about G1, we will talk about who got snubbed and who was upset.
Yeah, okay. So I need to, and I mean, listen, in my heart, my personal, before you even say anything, I did have a moment where I was like, man, Karl Fredericks missed.
It's him. It's Karl.
It is. So it was Karl, actually.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Super upset. So, yeah. So I'm going to bring up some of his tweets. Like I said, I don't think he's deleted them. Let me find out. Oh, yeah. Oh, God.
Because in my heart did break a little bit. And
I
sat there after the thing was done, and I was like, it's great for Filthy Tom, and I really like that they put Jonah in there. And I felt like I had to sit there and have, like, almost with myself, I was like, Karl's time is going to come.
Like, so I don't know if some of Karl's stuff is storyline. Maybe this is kind of what they're doing for him to kind of build him up. But I missed some tweets. He's very angry. He's very mad at New Japan. And so let me see. He just put a laugh cry face and said, I'm LA Dojo. And then there's another one. He said, I thought I was in, with quotations. And then he said, the system is horseshit. Then he said, the next tweet said pointless. The next tweet said meaningless. And somebody was like, said that they were waiting on him, or maybe they'll put him in World Tag. And he said, you, like many others, are waiting, and it means the world to me, but no different than you, I'm subject to NJPW, and NJPW doesn't believe in me, nor do they respect the work that I've done here the last 4 years. I fear that we will be waiting for many years to come. Yeah. Then he said, maybe I'm the asshole. Very probable. 2020 rocket on my back. I'm supposed to make a run in the cup. 2022 would be my third G1. Don't leave, Karl. Visas are opening up. G1 ... next year. And then somebody said, or Super J-Cast said, more of this, please. Guys should be pissed when they don't make the G1. Now it's up to Karl to prove that NJPW made the wrong call and to go grab Strong by the throat. And he said, nah, you had no idea how bad they're fucking me right now. So yeah, Karl is, and then he put talent over, talent is greater than tenure. He said he was sold on the idea of do this and you're in, physical / mental / emotional abuse, all of this for a silly job. So yeah, Karl is okay. So 12 hours ago, this is his pinned tweet. He said, last thing I'm even going to entertain with a voice right now as far as professional wrestling goes is that NJPW doesn't deserve Karl Fredericks. And he tweeted that 12 hours ago. So sounds like he is legit angry. I don't know if they'll use this and turn this into something for him and kind of push him in Strong, kind of like Super J-Cast said, like let him go to Strong he is Strong and Strong, just let him go on a tear. I mean, and I was like, the one positive is hopefully I'll get to see him in Charlotte, but I don't know. It seems like I can't tell how much of this is storyline and how much of this is he sounds very angry.
And I can completely understand.
Yeah. Well, when you have somebody like, you know, I don't want to sound mean or anything by naming, but you have people like Yujiro and Chase Owens and Bad Luck Fale and the G1, and you leave somebody like Karl Fredericks out, that's kind of a slap in the face, I think.
And you don't, I mean, yeah, the Chase Owens thing, I get it.
Right.
But also, I'm over it. It's like at
if you
some point, things run their course. Like, we all know why Folly is in there. And it's not like, he's not gonna wrestle. He's there to do the shenanigans
and to cost people to screw up their points, to be or he's the one that's going to cost somebody their match and keep, he's going to ruin it for them. Like that's his thing, which is, we know what he's there for. But then you have, it's just, if the G1 is supposed to be some of the very best in the world, then I don't see how you exclude Karl Fredericks from it. Especially when you have somebody, and you have Tom Lawler in there who has been in strong and has been, I mean, obviously he was their champion for a year. And, you have these things where and that's not to take anything away from him, but, Karl Fredericks has worked his ass off.
Yeah, no, and he definitely has.
And like we saw, like I saw that gif of him, like where he did it's the Turkish something or other, where he stood up and he like had the guy, like it was insane, like his strength. And I quote tweeted it and said, put him in the G1 now.
Yeah.
and now look, we're just, so I'm really, and I was talking to some friends this morning because one of my friends had not seen Dominion yet, but he went and looked at the list and he was like, where is Karl Fredericks? And I was like, that's what we all said. And that's what Karl said. Karl was very upset last night. And I was like, I think it was real. It felt very, because Karl doesn't tweet. He doesn't tweet like that.
He's not. Yeah, he doesn't generally.
Tweet, he doesn't generally tweet in character or anything like that. Karl comes off as pretty authentic, and I think, and so that was kind of out of character, not, no pun intended, like for him. And so I feel like he was genuinely upset and genuinely angry that he was not. And so I don't know how New Japan works as far as like, I don't know how early they find out that they're going to be in the G1, because I was like, clearly they have to have travel arrangements for the people who are in the US. So I was like, I don't know if Karl has been sitting on this for a while and hasn't been able to say anything, or maybe he just assumed, okay, well, I can just hop on a plane because it doesn't start for a few weeks. And so I don't know if they find out live like everybody else does, or how that works with the G1.
Yeah,
so I don't
sure.
So yeah, but regardless, I think Karl got robbed, and he has, like you said, every right to be that angry. And maybe this fuels him, and maybe this makes him mad, and he decides he doesn't want to do it anymore. I don't know.
Now, I'm just to turn, I'm going to play a little bit of devil's advocate for everything and just say, okay, so they sent Filthy Tom there and Jonah's out of the picture, and you got the impression that they were going to give him a pretty strong push on Strong.
Yeah.
So now, do you take Karl and build a stronger Strong around Karl as I mean,
I don't see why you wouldn't.
I mean, it's easy enough. The guy is amazing. Like, he should be.
Yeah.
But I want to at least, I guess, ask myself, like, are they doing this for a good reason?
Yeah.
Or is this like I want to try and give people the benefit of the doubt. My heart doesn't feel like
and then, there's some of the stuff that they've done with Coda and how they've handled this whole thing. And, you see that New Japan is not perfect, and they do.
And they've had incidents. I don't know. It seems like, and we have other people on our network who would probably know the answers to all these questions, but it seems like there's some sort of, it's still, whether Japanese or not, it's still wrestling. So it still has the wrestling business aspect.
Right. Exactly. Exactly.
It's not just because it's not something we necessarily recognize because we don't have the cultural understanding.
Sure.
It plays as Japanese carny crap. I mean, and it's because the wrestling business at the end of the day really is, I mean, it's a bunch of carnies doing business. And so it does have that feeling to it.
Yeah, and Karl even tweeted it's something like it's show business, baby. So like he knows it's carny.
So I don't know. We're gonna have to see where they go with this and how he feels.
You do bring up a really good point, because Jonah has been the one that people think will eventually be champion, and that
everybody I talk to around
right. And
the group is like, no, they're going to give Jonah the big push.
Yeah, and they should.
Okay.
I would love to see that.
No,
and so
of course,
I think so. The G1 kind of throws. I don't know how much of that timing it throws off, because I mean, maybe that it sounds like that was probably the plan for him. Maybe they're going to build him up in the G1, let him have a really good showing, and then come back to strong and
Right.
chase for the title
Right.
and get it. So I can see kind of that's what they're going with there. But what do you do with Karl Fredericks in the meantime? Do you, like you say, push him, make him a legitimate contender, and then but then they're not going to put the title on him, they're going to put it on Jonah probably. So then is Karl going to get screwed again, or do you build Karl up and then he's the maybe he's the one who will be the one to take it off of Jonah? Maybe is something they're doing. So I hope, like you said, wanting to believe the best and the good, is that they have a really good plan for Karl. They see the tremendous talent that Karl is, and they're going to do the right thing by him. And, so I don't know. I really hope they figure it out. And I hope that Karl is happy with whatever ends up happening, and that he decides to keep going. But I was like, I can understand.
That would be a shame. It really would, because he is a real talent.
He is. And so I definitely wish him well, and hope that, whatever he decides, hopefully he keeps going, because he's put in a lot of hard work, and I'd hate to see him give it up now, So yeah, that does kind of put a little bit of the damper on the G1, maybe by when the time it starts, it won't be, but that's definitely something that's going to be in the back of my mind. I think while watching the tournament was like, who could have, what can Karl Fredericks, or what could have been? Yeah, Karl Fredericks could have done this, or Karl Fredericks could have, can you imagine him against this person? So yeah. But yeah, so he was definitely interesting to watch a lot of it live last night, because it was just coming across my timeline, and I was like, oh, and then I didn't see that there were other, because I was trying to stay off my timeline until I finished Dominion today, so I missed some of the other things that he said. So
this is like never happened. I stayed off social media completely. I opened my Facebook, and I saw like the Fight Game Media Group. Like, one of the first thing was like 28 participants in G1. I was like, out.
Yeah.
And I just like popped out of it, and I went on my Twitter and immediately don't.
Yeah.
Just don't.
Yeah. I went on my Twitter and I saw.
Show.
Yeah. I checked my notifications. And then I did accidentally hit the For You and saw somebody's name, which we'll get to later, but I didn't think it was a spoiler. I just thought it was trending because of that they had a great match or something. So I didn't think anything of it. And then I just stayed mainly because I was also watching the Braves game at the same time on the iPad while I was watching this, because the Braves actually, while we have been on air, just won their 11th straight game. So that is very exciting.
Excellent.
Because we're in second place. Yeah, they're in second place.
I'm a Braves fan because you're a Braves fan, and I want you to be happy. And
yes, I'm very happy. So I'll have to tweet a little bit about that. And it was like, I probably would be rude of me to tweet about their 11-game win streak while I'm trying to record. But yeah, so I had that on at the same time. So I just stayed on my timeline to tweet about the Braves game, because I was like, I don't want to be spoiled.
I stayed off.
And my sister got spoiled by a new follower. Somebody followed her, and she went to go check their time, because she and I do the same thing. We scan.
You
make sure they're not like creeps or whatever.
Right. I do the same thing
and
too.
She said she saw one tweet, and then the second tweet was, it spoiled the main event, or the main part, not the main event, but like the main part of the show for her. And she was just like, and I said block them for that. They spoiled it. Don't follow them. But yeah. So like we said, if you're still with us this far, I know we covered G1 first, but if you have not watched Dominion, pause it now and come back when you watch it, because we're gonna talk about everything.
Yep, we're gonna talk about everything that happened, everyone we saw, and all of the madness that ensued.
Yes. So we're 29 minutes in. Pause it now. Come back in 4 hours when the show ends, and come back and finish the show. It is. It's a 4-hour show. Or if you're watching on Fire Stick, it's a 7-hour show because it kept.
I think it was my timing. I think it was that I did it at like 8 o'clock in the morning on a Sunday. And who F is up at 8 o'clock in the morning on a Sunday?
Not me.
And I'm not like, I think it's like a it's just people are like, oh, you're a morning person. It's like, it's not I'm a morning person. It's that my body wakes up at a certain time and then it doesn't want to go back to sleep.
Right.
And so it's like, I'm laying here and my choices are like, think about everything I've done wrong for the last like 15 years or get the fuck up and do something nice, like normal that makes me happy. And this morning it was like, oh, Dominion's on. It's got to be up by now. And I, like you, figured, I didn't realize it was a 1 o'clock start. So it was more than uploaded. I was all set. I was like,
and I noticed like it was buffering some last night and it froze a couple times. It's mostly buffering, but I saw a couple other tweets. People are like, they're like, is this buffering more than normal for people? And so I was like, but for whatever reason, like it took us a long time to get through the second half today just because it kept freezing. And like I said, my Fire Stick, it is an older Fire Stick, but every other app that I use on Fire Stick plays perfectly fine. It's just New Japan for whatever reason. So I really probably should just go ahead and upgrade to a newer one anyway. But I was like, maybe I won't have these problems, but it took me. So we got
computer. I have a very specific I
almost came and got my laptop, and then I was like, but I need my laptop to record, and it wouldn't have been charged because we started at 1:30 and I just spoiled it, but it ended at 3:55, and I was like, we have to record at 4 o'clock. So I'm messaging Mel, and I was like, hold on, I'm coming. I have to go to the bathroom. Gotta turn the Braves game on in here so I can have the end of it on while I was like, so I have it muted, and I was like, I'm coming. I just didn't think it was going to take forever. I thought I'd had plenty of time. On any other device, I would have had a half an hour at least, but no. I was like, this 10-minute KOPW match is going to be 25 by the time it's done.
It bugs the ever-loving crap out of me when that happens because New Japan's pacing is such an important part of their timing and the way that the matches work. And I've had times where I've had to shut it off because it makes me. I'm like, I can't watch this. How am I supposed to understand them building story?
Well, and then last night I had to. So during this, I think the second match was the United Empire match.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that was the second match, but or whatever it was, or it was during that. Maybe it was actually. It might have been. Okay.
Yes.
So it froze completely, and so I was like, sometimes if it freezes, I can give it a few minutes and it'll buffer itself out. So I was still doing some other things, and so I was letting it, and I was like, this has been frozen for like 3 or 4 minutes. So I had to back all the way out, wait for it to reload, and get back in. So I missed the person who came out. I saw them standing on him, and I was like, where did he come from? And I couldn't see his face really well. And then I heard him talking, and I was like, oh, okay. And then, so I missed that, and then it messed up during Tana versus Goto, and there's a couple other, I had to completely back out, wait for it to reload, and come back in. And I was like, this is a pain in the ass. Especially at 2 o'clock in the morning. I don't have time for this. Do you want me to stay up and watch a couple of hours? I was like, and so that's why with KOPW, like it froze completely. And I was like, no, this is a 10-minute match. I'll never see it if I don't go to bed.
Plus, there was so much going on in that match
and I'm glad that I got to see it all. It buffered a few times, but not to the point where it like took away from the match or anything like that, which was nice. But if any other match, it probably would have messed up. So I guess we will take a look at the card. Since we've kind of been all over the place. And we don't really have to go through every single match. I mean, we can just be like, so they open with like we said, this was a kind of a heavy United Empire heavy show as well as a Bullet Club heavy show. So they open with TJP.
Well, it's hard to not be a Bullet Club heavy show at this point. Half the freaking
when you have 98 wrestlers,
is Bullet Club.
Yeah,
I'm starting to wonder if I'm Bullet Club and everything. Like,
am I Bullet Club or United Empire? I don't know which one.
Well, I mean, my heart is totally United Empire if it's between those two right now.
So. Well, I like certain people from each one, and I dislike certain people from each one.
That's how that works.
I was like, yeah, because sometimes I'm like, that's who you put in your group. Why is that person in your group?
I miss Gino Gambino in moments.
I do miss Gino Gambino.
He would have. I never, and that is those are words.
Yeah, because I did not care for him in the beginning.
When he first started, I was like, what are you people doing? You went from Rocky Romero to this guy?
Yeah.
And then he started to grow on me.
He did. And I didn't realize how much he had started to grow on me until he wasn't
there anymore.
And then I was like, where's Gino at? and then you'll hear Chris Charlton do, I think it's Chris that does Gino.
He does. He did it today. He did it on this show. He did a couple of them.
So funny.
I love Chris Charlton. Oh my gosh. Congratulations for continuing to get better and better. He's starting to understand how to do the job so well.
He's so funny. And he does not care. He will say, last night
he finally got it. He finally got just to give out back.
Yeah, exactly. Like, he's not trying to be, not saying he's unprofessional, but he's not trying to be the company guy and who says everything right. He just doesn't care. He just says whatever comes out of his mouth. Like last night, he said something like, oh no, dicks and knots, or something like that. Just something really crazy like that. I mean, he doesn't care, and it's great. And he and Kevin play so well off of each other now, especially now that he's gotten more comfortable, and it feels like he's letting his personality come through even more. And he's really funny and really entertaining. So even though I do miss Gino, I'm so glad. And it's when on the nights where, Kevin Kelly, to do stuff by himself, it's a lot to have to, he was doing some of these BOSJ shows by himself, and he did fantastic, but I miss Chris, because Chris has gotten so good at it, and he's gotten where he just adds so much more to commentary, and he's so funny. And so it was definitely missing when he, on the nights that he didn't travel with them and it was just Kevin. So I'm very glad. So hopefully he'll be on every G1 show. I really hope so. And I don't know.
Oh my gosh, that would be really, really great. I know that I think that I can't remember, but this is not 100% confirmed, but I believe that his wife was going through cancer. And so a lot of the reasons that he was not traveling was because no effing way. I mean,
I don't blame him.
And nor should he have been. And I think that some of that has been rectified now. So I think
okay. Yeah, I had wondered. I knew
in the country.
Oh, right. He just couldn't travel
He wasn't traveling, and I think it had a lot to
and
do
so
with
and
that.
He didn't travel during BOSJ. He didn't travel for 3 straight shows. It was just Kevin 3 or 4 nights in a row by himself, because Chris didn't travel for whatever reason. And then so is Gino not there because is he stuck in Australia? Is that why they haven't been using?
Would he be in New Zealand or
New Zealand? Yeah,
I don't know. You know what? I don't know the story with Gino. We should find out.
I don't know that I've ever heard a reason for why he hasn't been. I know some of it was COVID and he couldn't travel for whatever reason.
Well, and then there was a natural disaster in his home.
Yeah, exactly. So I don't know if that's why he's not. Yeah.
So it could be that he's taking care of his family, and more power to him. That should be his priority.
Yeah, exactly. So. He should definitely be doing that.
But I do enjoy a good Chris Charlton doing Gino Gambino, because there's nothing funnier than Kevin Kelly's reaction. He's just I'm just letting it happen, and I love it.
He's I'm not even fighting it anymore.
I'm so smart. I'm so good at this that I know to just let that happen, because we all enjoy it.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. So United Empire won the first match. The second match was some LJ action. We got Naito, Bushi, and Haramu versus Ishimori, Ace Austin, who I still can't believe is in Bullet Club.
I know.
GLP. I mean, it fits, but also you turn on Alex Zane, and now there's no more Zest friends. That's what they named themselves.
It's the thing that was like interesting about this. I didn't watch hard on these matches, but also they were like, we stole Alex Zane's socks, and Naito was like interested in Ace Austin's magical stick. And I'm just like, this shouldn't be interesting.
It is.
But it is.
Yeah.
It
and so
felt like
they stole the socks, and I saw Alex Zane posted a picture, and he was wearing Crocs, and he said his ferrets wanted to know where his socks were, and he had a picture of his ferret standing next to his feet, which I love, because when I was a teenager, I had 2 ferrets, and so I was like, Alex Zane has ferrets, and they're sable, and I had 2 sable ferrets.
Oh my gosh!
When I was a teenager, so I was like,
this is meant to be.
I was like, now I love Alex Zane even more.
Oh my gosh!
Yeah, so this is where this socks storyline, like, they're gonna have to go buy some socks.
Funny. Yeah, that was my first thought. I was like, you might get some help from Minoru Suzuki.
Yeah,
he's around.
Who is not in the G1. Also not in the G1. Which I think I heard that he wasn't going to be this year. So I selfishly hope that means that he's going to be back in America.
Yeah, I actually was thinking the same thing. I was America tour.
Please come back, since I didn't get to meet him the last time. I did get the autograph picture, which I am grateful for, but I would like to meet this man. So please bring him back to me.
He seems like he enjoys it. So please.
Yeah. So I'm hoping put him on New Japan of Charlotte or of America and Charlotte. Put him on that show. I don't care.
They're doing crossover stuff, and
maybe he'll be in maybe he'll be in GCW. And
that's right.
Yeah, because GCW and is
coming up, right?
It's August. Wait, is that August or is it September? I'm confusing. When is New Japan of America? I should know. I can't. I'm keeping these. Is it August 19th? Which is the day after G1 ends. So maybe he's going to be doing some GCW. Please let me have more on Suzuki. Okay, let me get back to this. Because it just dawned on me. Literally right now, as you can see.
Okada, please let Minoru Suzuki be on.
Yes, please, Okada, make it happen. Okay. Well, then I hope he's going to be on the Forbidden Door too.
Well, I actually imagine that it seems weird that he wouldn't.
Yeah, because the fans and then tell people to shut their damn mouths when he's coming out and don't talk during the stupid intros. I know you met him and had breakfast with him one time. We heard it.
I have a little bit of like gears to grind with some of the Forbidden Door attitudes. But I mean, maybe we'll get to it today. Maybe we'll get to it later. But
we have a couple shows between now and then that we can probably.
I am just so it's like. I think what's happening right now is that, and this is all the tangent I'm going to do about it, is that there are a lot of people who don't understand how New Japan builds shows.
I know.
And they're building a show on AEW because this is a showcase for both companies.
Yeah.
It's not just an AEW show. That's the entire point.
Right.
And they have to sell a pay-per-view to the Japanese audience, just like AEW has to sell a pay-per-view to the American audience.
And AEW just had Double or Nothing, and they had to get through Dominion, and so they had to get through both of those, and then there
were huge things that happened today.
Yeah, which is what we knew, which is why we wanted to both make sure we could watch Dominion first, because we knew some things were going to happen, and it was going to lead into Forbidden Door, because Forbidden Door is 2 weeks from today, I believe.
It is. Well, it's you're right. Today is Sunday. Yep. Yeah. So it's 2 weeks from today.
Right. Yeah.
Exactly 2 weeks.
Yeah, exactly.
So anyway, let's get on this card because that has implications on my. It does.
Well, the only thing I'm going to say about the next match, which was Doc Gallows versus Yano, and the match happened because Yano used too much disinfectant, is I came up with a match that should be on Forbidden Door. Even if it's the buy-in, I would like Yano versus Brandon Cutler in a disinfectant versus cold spray match.
Oh my God, Sam, that is freaking amazing.
I need it to happen. I tweeted it, so it's out in the universe. I put it on here. It's out in the universe. Somebody at TonyCon.
Come on. That
I don't
writes
think Gato
itself.
has a Twitter, but if Gato's snooping around the New Japan Dominion hashtag, maybe he'll see it. I put it out there. I had some feedback from 3 people who said that, besides Nikki, who said they wanted to see it. So make it happen.
Amazing.
Put it on the buy-in. I don't care. That'll sell you need to sell tickets to Forbidden Door or sell people to buy it. Put that on there.
What? And it would be quick. It wouldn't matter. Nobody's gonna. I'm pretty sure that everybody knows it's gonna be a 5-hour show anyway.
Yeah. So why not give us 3 minutes of that? That would be fantastic.
I'm into this.
I just want them to. I need it to happen.
I'm into this.
So listen, Okada. I know we've already asked you to send Suzuki. Can you also send? Make
We're asking a lot of Okada.
I know. Well, listen, I'll ask some of the wrestling goddesses. If you are listening, please make this match happen and give me the credit for it. Okay, so the next match was for the never open weight trios. It was House of Torture versus ZSJ, Kanemaru, and El Desperado. House of Torture retained, but I saw right before I went to bed. I didn't see the actual, I haven't heard the actual video of it, but I saw a shot of it that Zack Sabre Jr. challenged Bryan Danielson after his match last night. Yeah.
I missed that.
Yeah, I saw a picture of it right before I went to bed. Somebody had a screenshot of it. So I haven't watched the actual.
I need to watch the after show interview.
But he told him, wait, I have to read you. Let me see if I can find the tweet because I saw a quote from it and it is a very Zack Sabre Jr. thing to say, of course. Yes. Look, I haven't jumped on my timeline. Like I left it in the spot where I had it last night.
I'm with you. I stayed off the tweeter.
He said, I know you're busy playing golf with the Blackpool Country Club. But let's make it clear who the best technical wrestler in the world is. And I don't know how well this will show up on the screen, but this face and he's pointing like it's great. I can't wait. I need to hear it and hear him say it because Zach is so.
Oh, he's amazing with his promos.
So funny. Yeah, because he gets so mad and he's so. Usually, if he's not yelling about Boris Johnson on his back, he's like on the floor yelling about Boris Johnson. That's like what he did all G1. Wait,
I remember.
Is he still talking to George Michael? Maybe he can pray to George Michael to have this match
because I think that is amazing.
I do too. It's one of my favorite things that they're doing. So funny. So yeah, so I assume so we thought that's been obviously the dream match that a lot of people have wanted. We didn't know if it was going to happen in the G1 or if it was going to happen at Forbidden Door. It sounds like probably Forbidden Door.
Maybe Forbidden Door.
And then now we have Zach calling out Danielson. And then when Yuta, we talked about it last week, when Yuta finished his BOSJ last week, he told Jericho Appreciation Society that he was coming to fuck them up. So, and now John Moxley has something to do. So it looks like Blackpool Combat Club will be busy at Forbidden Door.
Yeah.
Or maybe, well, I don't know if they'll do the Jericho Appreciation Society stuff there, but it sounds like he's definitely
doing BOSJ did exactly what it's supposed to do for you. And then he went with that, and he's so lucky because he's running with 3 wrestlers right now that are in such a different mental. I mean, they're just in a teacher space.
You know, saying that, I saw something a couple of weeks ago from William Regal, who was saying that when he was still in WWE, he was looking at Yuta then, and I was like, thank God Yuta did not end up in WWE.
Yeah,
because they would not know what to do with him. They would give him some dumb name. They would strip him of everything that makes him Yuta, and he wouldn't get to learn from these 3, and he wouldn't have been able to be in the BOSJ. And I think William Regal said he was looking at him, Daniel Garcia. There's somebody else, I can't remember who it was, and he wanted them when he was in WWE. He was looking at them, and I was like, thank Okada that didn't happen, because I don't know what would have happened. So, and then I was gonna say, he killed it in the BOSJ, and then he comes back and he's in the Battle Royal and makes it to the final 4. Actually, the final 2.
He looked great in that match.
I knew that he was, because people were like mad that Kyle O'Reilly won, and I was like, you would have been pissed if you'd have got to face Moxley and lost the second time. We all knew Moxley was gonna win. So I would rather him lose to Kyle. I mean, I would rather Kyle O'Reilly be the one to lose him, because people were like, well, it could have been Swerve, but y'all would have been pissed if Swerve made it that far and then lost. And so Kyle O'Reilly is somebody who can give Mox an amazing match.
Which he did.
He looked great. They had a phenomenal match. So I was like, I don't understand why you people are so mad, because you would have been pissed when you'd have lost to Moxley.
It's because you know what it is? It's because people don't know what they want.
Well, yeah.
Especially wrestling fans. Especially the angry ones that are on the Twitter. They don't know what they want. They're just like, and then they get the thing and they're like, this is the greatest thing ever. I always said this should happen.
I got receipts from you, buddy. But yeah, so we'll get back to this real quick. So Zack Sabre Jr. challenged Danielson, it looks like. So hopefully Danielson will respond on Wednesday. The next match was for the IWGP Tag Team titles. It was the Greatest Okan and Jeff Cobb versus Fale and Owens. Fale and Owens pretty much won that title because it was Bullet Club Appreciation Night. And now it's back where it belongs.
Yes.
With the Greatest Okan and Jeff Cobb.
And it's almost as if their appearance on Dynamite was part of a building of a story that might be for a pay-per-view that's coming up.
Wow. Who could have guessed?
Amazing.
Wow, such
Especially
foresight.
since Jeff Cobb, and this was the biggest thing, is like Jeff Cobb is well known to the audience.
Because he's been in a couple of things. He had some matches. He nearly signed with them, I think. And
And Greatest Okan getting over right now is easy because he's like, I love this. This is one of my favorite things about wrestling. It's like when he first started, I was just like, this guy, it pisses me off that he's even on like.
Yeah, well, and he was here when PWX did the show with New Japan. Like, he was on the card, and I was like, why?
What is this guy's deal? What is the deal? Why is Will Ospreay throwing in with these people? What is that?
Yeah, and that's when he was and that's when he was going by Great Okarn, and he had the R in the name, and it was like, and he wore the mask in the front, and it was just, I didn't know where it was going, and this Great Okan, the Greatest Okan.
They do that all the time, though. I mean,
they do. We should know
Japan
better.
Is like, it's like, I try really hard. I'm like, it's New Japan. They always pay you off. Like, now this is like the biggest thing in the world. I was so excited when they won. I was like, yes.
So I missed.
How can they not possibly be coming to Chicago?
Yeah. And so I'm very glad that they are. And they were the gateway to bringing in United Empire for last Wednesday too, when they showed up. And so they came a couple of weeks early. I think some people probably forgot about it a little bit. And then United Empire comes back and they're like, oh, that's right. Those two guys a couple of weeks ago started the infiltration. And now
this has meaning.
Yes, exactly.
Maybe I think it's because people really aren't used to it really is slow build in New Japan.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, if you think AEW does long-term storytelling, let me tell you.
You really have to like be patient with them and just like trust in the Gato.
You have to. Even if he turned on Okada a few years ago, you have to still trust him.
Well,
but yeah, I think this was the match that involved Rocky, right? Is this the one?
Yeah.
Okay,
so I missed to get that's my
I saw like 2 minutes of this match. It froze, backed out, had to wait for it to reload, and I came back and they were standing. I was like, who are they standing on? And then I heard, because the audio caught up before the video did, and I heard and that's why I said, "Is that Rocky?" And I heard him talking, and I was like, oh, okay, so Rocky did something. And
Rocky
then I was
did a run in for Roppongi Vice. I think it was some get back for Trent. And I think they're trying to again set something up.
Rocky tweeted and said, "This was for you, Trent," and used the GIF from Armageddon, and it's Bruce Willis where he's on the screen and Liv Tyler is touching the TV. He tweeted that last night.
I love you.
Yes. So that was so I missed that. I have to go back and rewatch today. I would have rewatched today, but I knew that stupid Fire Stick was not gonna allow me to do that. So I saw, and then I didn't know who, so then I was like, well, who won the titles? And then I saw Jeff had it in his hand, and I was like, thank God Fale and Owens don't have it anymore.
No, it was
like, get those titles off of them. And it was funny because I saw
and they didn't drag it out. They made it a good match, but they didn't drag it out.
Yeah,
see,
that's what they needed.
It was
and it was funny. I saw somebody tweet, I think it was Mike Gilbert actually from Brace for Impact, was talking about how, I think he said, have there been any worse tag team champions than Chase and Fale? And then I saw somebody else, a friend of mine, tweeted and was like, they're such a solid tag team. It's like, those are two very different spectrums. I'm more on the Mike Gilbert side.
Yeah, ditto.
But I was like, listen, if you think they're solid, good for you. I'm glad somebody enjoys them. So then after that, I was like, I was getting fed up with the Fire Stick. I was like, I don't know if I'm going to bed. And then they were like, no, you're not, because it's the Ace.
Yep.
Versus Goto. You know how this match is going to go, but you're going to sit down and watch it. They're like, go pour your bowl of cereal and come sit down and watch this, which is exactly what I did. And we should have all known it was over when Tana walked out with that hair.
It was amazing.
It was even better than normal. It was like
bigger than normal.
It was like a helmet, and it was majestic, and
it was ready to go. It looked like it was
like important match, Tana.
This is like grab everything by the balls and fix it all, Tana. I mean, it's what I think was funny is that he did a bunch of his high flying stuff, but he also did a bunch of real wrestling in this match. Mm-hmm. And it was like, just to kind of put it out there that like, yes, I can do an air guitar and I can do these spectacular moves, and even one with like, high fly flow or whatever.
Yeah, because Kevin sure yelled about it. It was a flow with 12 O's in it.
He made it clear, I feel like, in this match that, I can wrestle Jon Moxley. It's fine. Don't worry. Like,
my knees might be a little shady. Sometimes they don't want to cooperate, but I'm still good. Wow. Mox is probably going to make me bleed like crazy.
Yeah.
Because Mox is going to bleed like crazy.
Wow.
But it's going to happen. But the match was kind of short, probably because they just threw it on there. But even with it being short, Goto still looked great.
Yeah, he did.
It served its purpose. It did. We all knew who was going to win, but that didn't mean that Goto was not going to. I mean, and even Tana himself, Tana definitely went out there and he gave it he didn't half-ass it or anything like that. But Goto, I think Goto knows, like, I don't know if I'm ever going to get to the US. I don't know if they will ever like have me come over there for anything. And so I think it gave him that kind of like an extra push to let him do what he does. And so I really like Goto, and I didn't know until after the match, and somebody was using the hashtag, and it was such Chicago was what they made their hashtag. And I was like, poor Goto, that was such a great hashtag, and it didn't get to go to Chicago, but it was a good match. And so now we're getting the match that they had to add a lot of extra things to make it to make us get to Tana versus Moxley. But I think last night they were saying it was 3 years in the making, I think is what they said on commentary. So I was like, yeah, I guess that is right. It is a 3-year build. And so we're finally getting it. Moxley cannot run from Tana like he runs from Yano. Maybe so. You know what? Maybe we don't get Yano versus Cutler because Mox will have to hide from Yano.
From Yano, because he just can't take it anymore.
No. So maybe they won't let me have that match. But yeah, so
I don't want to be by that guy ever again.
I fear him. But
of all the people.
Yeah, of all the people. But yeah, so we're getting that match. It's gonna be phenomenal. We probably know where it's going. I still want them to not be cowards and to let Tana have that. I want Tana to come to the G1 with the AEW World Champion.
Be so kind of cool to have him sort of strut around with that during some important
and then because I screenshot,
he could definitely carry it. It's not as if he couldn't. I mean,
no, and I saw a picture of him because it was from, I think it was a press conference, and he had on a black feathery jacket thing that was sort of like a boa, and I was like, he had sunglasses. I was like, why would you not put the title on him? Just do it. Let us have it. This opportunity is not going to come around very often, so you might as well let us have this, and then let us have Tana versus CM Punk when CM Punk is ready to go.
Comes.
Yes, and so and I noticed I didn't make a note of it, and I just remembered. So after Tana won, Kevin Kelly said something along the lines of he spun the wheel and won. And I don't know if using the wheel was on purpose, because CM Punk kept saying, I have a broken wheel. So I was like, is Kevin planting something? Is this a callback to what CM Punk said, or did he just happen to say it? But I heard it and I was like, oh, that's interesting. That might be a little seed or a little callback to what CM, because he kept saying, I have a broken wheel.
Right.
I have a broken wheel.
Until the wheels fall off.
And then, and then Kevin said Tana spun the wheel. And I was like, oh, okay, well, that's interesting. So I don't know if it means anything or if it's just Kevin just being clever, which could be just Kevin being Kevin. But it was a nice little reference he threw in there. See. And so the next match was Shingo versus Tai Chi and the KOPW. They had a Twitter poll where fans could vote which stipulation it would be, and Shingo's won, which was the pinfall scramble, and it was a 10-minute time limit.
Crazy.
Which is, I was like, okay, this will be fine, but then it was way more fun than I expected, especially the closing minute or so, because they were getting so then I guess the pinfalls were counting for more points, and Shingo
that was interesting. I actually was like, this sounds ridiculous. And the next thing I know, I was like, this is amazing.
Yeah, it really was. Yeah. And Shingo, because Shingo got a pinfall and it was 3 points. And I was like, wait, where did those 3 points come from?
Yeah, right.
And then Tai Chi was chasing him, because I was like, man,
I think it had to do with the timing. If you got this many within this time, or it was
I think
in the ring or outside of the ring. I mean, I think it actually it was almost like, there's a 3-point shot and a 2-point shot kind of deal, where it was if you got a pin outside the ring, it was worth this much. But if you got if you got because I think that they counted any count. You didn't have to have an actual 3 count. You could, you got points for a 2 count.
Yeah, they did. Because there was a couple of times that Tai Chi got in a 2 count, and then I would see the point change, and I was like, wait a minute, he didn't get 3.
I think you were getting specific points for how many.
I think so. And it
was, you got if it was 1 count, you got 1 point. If you got 2, 2 whatever you got, and then if you actually got a legitimate pinfall, you got a buttload of points.
Right. And then they were closing in on the last minute. It was 7-6 Shingo. And then I was like, oh man, Tai Chi's gonna tie it. But then Shingo got 3 extra points. And then you see Tai Chi is scrambling to pin him. And it made it more exciting. And it wasn't. And I think Kevin was on commentary saying that he was like, man, this was a lot of fun. He was it adds something different. He was like, I really like it. And I did too. That match was way more fun. And so Shingo did end up winning, and then he kept making fun of Tai Chi because he lost. He was pointing to the scoreboard and waving his trophy around and taunting him, and it was really great.
He's like, I'm already in the G1. I can do what I want.
Yeah, exactly. And so the next match was Tama Tonga versus Carl Anderson for the never open weight. It was a pretty solid match. This is one of the matches where it kept messing up, and I was like doing my makeup for the for this, and like had it. I was like watching, and so the closing minutes of this match was really good. I thought they had a really nice sequence where they were just going back and forth, and then there was a portion where Gallows got involved and he put Tama Tonga on his back on the hardest part of the ring. So that definitely hurt Tama throughout the match. And Tongaloa couldn't be there because he has a knee injury. So Jado was there, but he didn't really factor into anything as far as like as much as Gallows did. And so Karl Anderson did win the never open weight, which was surprising. And I believe Kevin said that it was 10 years, almost 10 years to the date since he had his first shot at the never open weight. So I thought it was kind of interesting that they put a singles title on Karl Anderson, just because obviously he's in the Good Brothers. And so I assume that means Karl's going to be in Japan a little bit more, unless he's taken the never open with him to Impact, which is definitely possible. So I was really surprised by that. I didn't really think, I guess because I just assumed, because obviously he's in Tama Tonga's in GOD, but I just didn't really think about him losing it because I guess because I associate Karl with tag team wrestling so much that I didn't really think, oh, he's gonna get it. So I thought that was kind of especially because of the story, like you said, Tama's been built stronger and stronger lately. So maybe that gives him like some extra, like another little chip on his shoulder going into the G1. Maybe that makes him a little bit.
They probably had to get the never off of him while he was in the G1,
yeah,
so they could use, because that's a pretty,
that's true.
That can be used a lot. Like you can kind of do anybody and anybody.
Yeah.
And also I know that they were planning on wrestling more in Japan more often, whether it be singles or that I think they had to reach there was still some crap out there where they had to reach a point where they were like, their Impact, things said we're going to be here until this time. And then we are going to go wrestle in Japan. Because that was like out there. It was like, we are going to do some time there.
Okay.
And yeah. That makes a little bit of sense.
Yeah. That will happen. That info. Yeah.
Just seems like get that off him. They can use that. They can bring it back and forth. Honestly, that's a perfect kind of like New Japan title to bring that Impact or whatever back and forth.
I didn't realize the brothers were going to be in Japan so often, so then that makes much more sense.
Yeah, they had said that their intention was always to get back to working there more.
Sure. Okay. Well, then that makes well, that'll be interesting then to see how they handle it then, especially with Tama Tonga is going to be kind of wrapped up in G1, and so Karl can do some other stuff. Maybe we get Karl versus Luke Gallows at some point. That would be interesting.
I wouldn't mind that. That would be interesting.
It would be. So then the next match, this was
the cursed belt.
The cursed belt. Oh yeah, I tweeted a gif of Danhausen and said it was the IWGP Championship, and it's Danhausen cursing because that's this title.
You know what? I wouldn't have believed it, but then they were going through even on commentaries, like what's happened over the last. It does feel like the Madden cover. It really
does. Yeah, that is a perfect comparison.
To feel like no, stop it, cut that out. Don't do that. Like don't. And then you get into this mindset where you're like, don't put her on that guy. I don't want that guy to get hurt. I don't want that guy to. What's going to happen to him if he hasn't? And it shouldn't be like that because the IWGP US Championship is a fun championship.
Yeah, I love that title. And they've had really good.
But I mean, even
the champions have been great, and I've really enjoyed that title.
Juice Robinson, when he won it, didn't Hiromu? Isn't that the night that Hiromu broke his neck when he won it in San Francisco or
San Diego? The Dragon Lee match.
And it was and it was for I think it was involving that, and I'm just I hate it. No, stop it. We need to uncurse this belt. Maybe.
We got it. They
I don't usually buy into that stuff. That stuff's very like, but this, I don't know. I don't know what to say about this.
This
it feels
weird.
It's
funny. Well, and then so last week, if you watched last week's episode, you will know that we were perplexed on why Sonata was like challenging Juice Robinson when it was known that he was not there and he had appendicitis. And we were like, there's no way this man is competing next Sunday.
Right.
Like it's not happening. Like, why is he challenging Juice specifically? And then Juice released a promo on Twitter that was really funny. It's very Juice.
Yes.
And he was just talking about how he had the title. He was back in the US. He was awaiting surgery. And it was his title. And so they're going to have a number one contender match for Sonata versus Will Ospreay. And then he was like, and then when I can compete, you can come for this title then. And then the next day, New Japan stripped him of the title, which is not a surprise.
New Japan was like, no, you're vacating the title because you're hurt. Bye.
Yeah, exactly. And they're like, you're awaiting surgery.
That's how they do it.
And they do. And then Juice still has the title, which they kept bringing up during the match, that Juice actually has the title with him here in the U.S. Chris Charlton made the point that possession is 9/10 of the loss.
Hey,
it's Juice's title. He still has it.
Do you have extradition for that championship?
I don't know. Maybe when Will Ospreay is here for the Forbidden Door, he's gonna go knock on Juice's door and take his title. I don't know.
There you go.
Dump him while he's recovering from surgery. I guess
it's technically his now.
Yeah. So obviously, if you can't tell,
he does have issues. Will Ospreay has been fighting with issues with belts all year. It's just been
I knew as soon as they stripped him, I was like, Will's gonna win this title. It's like, I knew that's what was gonna happen. I was like, damn it. I guess it's good because maybe Sonata won't get hurt again. No, he won't hurt his other orbital bone.
Yeah.
And then Will was on commentary, or like whenever they was talking to Kevin about his kidney infection. I think he said he almost died from his kidney infection or something like that. And I was like, so yeah, that's interesting. And so I'm assuming Will is going to come back for Forbidden Door because he clearly has some unfinished business with all the crap he started last week. So it seems like he'll probably. So I was like, it makes sense that they're putting the title on him because it feels like Will is probably going to be more involved in it. Because is Will in the G1? He's in the G1, right?
I don't think he was.
Wait, maybe he's not in the G1.
He was not in there.
No, so they've got to give Will, that. So I can see Will probably being in the US maybe.
That's interesting. Actually, now that that's dawning on me, I'm like,
I didn't think about it until I just said it, and I was like, wait a minute, I don't think he has.
I don't think he was on the list. They switched it up. There's a bunch of, there's different stuff. There are different competitors this year for sure.
Mm-hmm. So it sounds like they're going to keep Will busy with that. And then Juice still has the title, the physical title. So we'll see what happens with that. And then what happens with Forbidden Door. And then another thing that was not answered during this broadcast, and I wondered if it would be in Dominion or if they would wait and reveal it closer to Forbidden Door, is who will be competing for the All Atlantic Championship from New Japan. Yes. I had kind of wondered if they would reveal it during Dominion, but they didn't.
They mentioned that someone was interested in it, and I cannot remember who it was. Like, maybe it was Aaron Henare, maybe it was. Damn it! Oh, because I completely
missed that. Yeah, and I completely missed it, so I didn't hear. I still was hoping it would be Kenta. I think Kenta would make sense since
that's it.
Was it Kenta? Okay,
that was it.
Because I mentioned
he
Kenta
said that he was eyeballing that, and yes,
well, and I think Kenta would be the perfect person because he is somebody. I would like to see somebody from Japan take this title. I think that would be cool to have them be the first ones doing it, especially because. It's because Kenta travels back and forth. He still lives in Florida. He'll clearly be in the G1, so he can take it, he can take it with him to G1. But I think also just because he travels so much, he's already got, he wants CM Punk at some point, he's made that clear. And he's had a couple of matches in AEW. So I think that Kenta would be the perfect person to win that title. And I think that they could do a lot with it. So I hope that it's Kenta that gets it. So maybe that little tidbit is why, but hopefully they will. It's interesting because it'll be
well, it's all the people. I got a lot of geography lessons on there. It's a lot of it had a lot of Pacific flags on it, and I feel like they maybe should have gone with something like an international or whatever title. Although I had a friend suggest that it might turn into something that can only be defended in Japan.
Because I
thought was a really good. Way back in the day, there used to be a junior heavyweight title that was like that, so you could like. I think even Hulk Hogan, like back in the way back days, actually held that title. And there was some like fight or controversy when all this stuff happened where Vince went live. And so I think that I kind of liked that idea, and I hope that it does sort of turn into something like that.
Yeah, and I've seen a couple people say they hope it's like the SWA title in Stardom, where you can go and defend it in any promotion in the world. Cool. And so somebody was hoping that maybe they'd go that route with it because, I do like the idea of the tournament. I do like the idea of it, but I wrote an article this week about how it's one less thing that the women get to be involved in, and they've got, AEW has
a lot of singles.
They've got that. So the men have 3 titles. The trio title's probably coming when Kenny comes back. That's been supposedly the titles have already been made. They've been ready to go.
I heard that.
And then even though the FTW title is not officially recognized, it's been defended a few times. So they technically have, so now they've got a handful of titles, and then the women just have their 2. They don't get to be in Forbidden Door because New Japan doesn't obviously have women competitors. And so, which is why I asked Tony what I did about the DDT Pro stuff, because I'm like, and now you're throwing the titles. I'm like, what are you going to give these women? But making them an afterthought. So, I mean, I do like the idea of a title, and I'm curious to see where it goes. But on the other hand, it was like, and they just finished a tournament, like Double or Nothing.
Yeah, that's the tricky part.
Yeah, they just finished it. And so, and then it's interesting because...
And it's right before G1, which is a big, giant tournament.
It's very interesting. So we'll see how that turns out. But hopefully I would like to see Kenta have it. And it would be cool. So, and then, I like both of those ideas of either being able to defend it any promotion or defend it in Japan only. And then if that's the case, then it should be somebody from New Japan that wins it first.
Definitely.
So that would be really cool to see. So then the main event was Okada versus
Traumatic.
Gave
me trauma.
This was a really, really good match.
Yes.
It was, I know that they got the 35-minute warning, and I think it went maybe like a minute or 2 after, so I guess it ended up being a 36, 37-minute match, which is really... I don't know that Jay's done a long match like that in a while. Okada has, I think. I think recently he did like a 30-minute, but this was it was really good, and Jay was very much playing up his heel stuff. Like he was taunting the fans because they couldn't chant, and he was doing even like he just started from the beginning. So Okada's getting in the ring and he's doing Jay White is doing a slow clap for him. And then he keeps getting the fans. He's like, well, he's yelling at them. Like, why are you not yelling? And he mocks the Okada chants. And so the fans do it back. And then he like keeps mocking them about like, why aren't you yelling? Why can't you be loud? Like he's mocking Okada and the fans like all match long. He's just, he's very, like I was saying, he's very chatty in this match. He's just talking a lot of trash.
A lot of trash.
Yeah, he talked all match long, and then he like he had Okada on.
He was like having conversations with Tanahashi, who was on the Japanese announce table. He was like, "Look, this is for you. Oh, don't you remember this?" Oh.
Yeah, and like one time he had Okada on the outside, and he too sweeted his face.
Yeah, it was.
It's like one time he asked Gato like which move he said, should I do this one or should I do this one, and like was asking which move he should do, and then they were on the outside, and then Gato he came up on Okada, and then he paid the price for it, which is what he gets. And then they Jay White focused a lot on Okada's ribs and his knee and his hips, and he just was brutal and kind of relentless. And I think they made the comment that was it that Jay had only beaten Okada once in Osaka Joe, or he
Yeah.
had, I think is what the thing was. And so that's another reason they were saying that that's probably why Jay was just so.
And there was just they kept bringing up Madison Square Garden was the thing that probably should have tipped me off.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. There now looking back at it, there's some other things that tipped us off. So again, if you have not watched the end of this match, I mean, if you've not watched the end of Dominion, we're gonna spoil it for you. So turn it off right now. So we all got swerved. I think most of us got swerved, and Jay White beat Okada for the championship, which did not see coming. I mean, I've said it on this show.
He was perfect. He made that perfect comeback. He was like his lungs weren't whatever, and I just God, he's so good. It was ridiculous.
He is like Jay White, and that's what I was thinking. I was like, man, I was like, Jay is so like if Okada is number one, then Jay has got to be number two. Like I think
they wrestle each other really well.
Yeah,
because of how they are, and because of Jay's that. He's a total dick.
He is, and he's so good at it.
But he's so good, and he's so talented, and he's so athletic. And you were looking at him, and he was in what? Again, there's another one where I was like, he looks like he's in super top shape right now. Like
more than usual. Incredible. Yeah,
like, and he's never out of shape, but
and I think, and even you kind of now you think about it, like Okada's wrestling like here and there, and he's been doing US of J, like where he's clearly they film like several episodes at a time, but he's doing New Japan, he's doing Impact, he's doing Strong, he's even had a match in AEW. Like Jay has been doing it all for New Japan, so he has kind of been the face of New Japan because he's been, while he didn't have the title, he was out there busting his ass in 3 different promotions in the US. Like, and he really did a lot. And so I was like, I mean, so you'll hear, like, if you've seen past episodes, that our thought was Okada is going to hold the title through Wrestle Kingdom. It's the 50th year anniversary. He's their guy. He's the guy that they, want to be the face of their company. The fans love him. He's clearly he's one of the best wrestlers in the world. Some will say he is the best wrestler in the world.
He's like one of the greatest of all time.
Yeah, and so Okada he's the guy, and so you kind of think that this is where they're going, and so I was really, and it's funny now I got to go back and say that this tweet didn't age well because I tweeted on Wednesday because they were like, why aren't they saying, because they were talking about the Okada, well, because it was when Hangman came out, and then I was like answering Okada or saying that he wanted Okada, and then Adam Cole comes out, and I was like, what the hell are you doing out here? Mind your business. And why do you have the Owen title with you? Like, that's not a title you defend. Like, why is it? What are you? So anyway, so I was like, what are you doing? And then because I tweeted, I was like, I love Jay White, but Okada's not losing that title anytime soon. So now I have to go find that tweet and be like, this aged poorly.
Yeah.
And then one of the things I was thinking, like, before Jay got on the mic, and I was like, well, so do we still get Hangman versus Okada? Like, what is happening here? And then Okada's like, Jay White was like, oh, no, wait a minute. He was like, and he called him a cowboy piece of shit.
Yes.
I believe, and I was like, Jay, please do not do that. So it looks like now we're getting Jay White versus Hangman. And
I don't know.
Maybe Okada versus Cole, because Cole wants Okada. So is that what we're doing here? Which I don't know.
I still feel like we get Hangman versus Okada because he said, only because Jay said you can have your match with Okada, but you don't get this belt.
Yeah.
And so it made it sound to me a little bit like maybe Adam Cole, Jay White.
Yeah.
But and who knows? I mean, that could be just the obvious thing is that
right
now you're wrestling for whatever. And because it just seemed like Hangman was hell-bent on wrestling specifically Okada. I
Yeah,
know he brought the
because,
IWGP thing
right.
into it.
Yeah, and then I also think because Okada and Hangman wrestled in G1 in 2018, and so, and that was kind of the match where people started to pay attention to Hangman, that he's not just this random guy on Bullet Club. Like, he's a guy who can actually go. He's a guy that, could be a star, and he proved, and then that obviously led to him, he did end up being a star, and he held the championship in AEW and things like, he won it off of Kenny Omega of all people. And so I think so I would like to, and so I think he still has something to prove, because, Hangman's whole thing is he has something to prove to somebody all the time. Like, whether it's to himself, to the fans, or to another wrestler. So then why wouldn't you go for Okada? He's the very best. And so
I still think that will happen.
And I'd like to
feel like it's because there's no way that match doesn't upstage, no matter what you do, because it's Okada and because Hangman shows up. You don't want to upstage what we all assume will be the main event, which is Tanahashi versus Moxley.
Right.
And
which, I think
there's no way to follow Okada for an IWGP heavyweight.
They have to open the match with Okada.
Probably. It's barely going to be hard, easy to follow it if it's not a championship match for anything. So, I don't know. I mean,
it's definitely thrown another wrench into kind of what we thought was happening. And now Jay has added a new thing.
Yes.
That not only did he single-handedly sell out Madison Square Garden, but he single-handedly sold out United Center. Because of course he did.
I was when I was sitting there, of course I remind everyone, because he does, and I think that joke is hilarious. So I actually said that to someone in one of my group chats this week, where it was like, because I actually said, we are all assuming that Okada's not losing this belt. And we were all assuming that Okada was.
I didn't think that man was going to lose that belt till at least Wrestle Kingdom.
And I got an answer from someone. I was like, but he single-handedly sold out Madison Square Garden.
And now he has single-handedly sold out the United Center. Good for him.
It's wow.
Yeah.
It's amazing how he sells things out after they're sold out.
Amazing.
He is magic.
He is. He's like, he can see the future, apparently.
I love it.
And there was also, I do want to make a quick, another thing Jay said was, because he's talking about how in 2016 he lost, and I guess that's the match he lost to Okada, and he told the fans that they are his family. And then, of course, he was like, are you still my family? And he was trying to get them to cheer. And they did. A lot of them did. He got the applause he wanted. And in the same part, he said he was the true belt collector.
Interesting.
So he planted the little seeds for Kenneth Omega, I believe.
Oh God, that would be. I mean, there's so many.
that was a little, and he looked dead into the camera when he said it. So that was clearly a message for Mr. Omega. Of course, we've said many times we don't want Kenny coming back until he's ready. I saw that he had the PCP injection the other day, which is the plasma. And he's using that they're hoping to avoid surgery. He had it in his knee and his shoulder. A couple people picked it up. It was on the doctor's office that he had it out. They had it on Instagram. And so it made it so this was recent. So I don't know. I still have no idea when Kenny's coming back. It sounds like he's trying this route instead of surgery for these particular issues. I mean, it's possible he comes to Forbidden Door and just, says whatever he wants to say, and then he goes away. But then I was like, do you tease the crowd like that? And
I don't
know how soon he's coming back. But then on the other hand, can you have a Forbidden Door show without Kenny Omega involved in any capacity? So I don't know, because I was like,
I think you can at this point. Just at the moment, I think we have there's enough going on, and it's crazy. there seems like a waning interest in Forbidden Door to some degree, and I see a lot of people.
I don't know how.
I think it's still that. I think it's not understanding.
Yeah, I guess so.
There's
but I mean,
different kinds of ways to build stories, and I mean, I'm just as happy. I think.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm sad that Okada lost because I never want to see Okada lose, and I was shocked. But there was like, I don't know why, there was some part of me at some point over the last couple of days that had a couple of like, what if they do the same thing they did in Madison Square Garden, because he's always playing. What if they? And I was like, no, they're not going to do that. That's
never even once considered that. So I was completely blindsided. I was like, and then when it happened, my sister was like, that's what that guy spoiled me on. And I was like, block him. Block it. So I did see, so when I clicked the For You earlier, I saw Okada's name and I didn't think anything of it because I was like, oh, it's probably because he had a phenomenal match. Yeah, he had a phenomenal match.
Yay.
He barely beats Jay White, like maybe he beats him by the skin of his teeth. He beats him at 2 7/8 or something.
Yeah, right.
It's really like maybe it's super close, and that's what it's trending for. I did not once consider seeing his name and be like, "Oh my god, that Okada probably lost." Like it never crossed my mind.
No.
I was completely, and I'm usually the one who gets spoiled. Like I usually. Which, I told you all about last week when I kept getting spoiled. Every time I was trying to watch something, I kept getting spoiled. So I didn't see this coming at all, and I did not get spoiled from it. And now, so I was completely blindsided. I was not expecting it because I just assumed that they were going to keep it on until Wrestle Kingdom. They were going to let him go through the entire 50-year anniversary as their guy, because that's him. I mean, like you said, it's Okada. He's the best there is. And then so I don't know what happens at Forbidden Door now. I don't know. We've got 2 weeks to fill it out, so I'm sure we'll get some answers on Wednesday. We do know that Tana versus Mox is happening. Like, I don't know how you can't be excited for that match.
I don't either.
Even if you're not somebody who watches New Japan and know that they've been trying to get this match for 3 years, like you could even see it just even if you had watched Windy City Riot and the Chicago show, like you can see, okay, there's something building with Tana and Jon Moxley. And yes, they went around their elbow to get it. They did all kinds of stuff but we're getting it, and it's going to be great. Like,
it's going to be awesome.
And
there's no way that
even
I keep coming back to something that you've said that I've not heard anybody else point out. And it's that for all the Japanese wrestlers, for the big stars that have been wrestling in Japan, they have not had people cheering for them.
Right.
You saw Okada at the Capitol Collision.
Yeah.
He wrestled like a freaking maniac, and people were so over for him. It was ridiculous that it was to the point where Meltzer was like, I know they'd be over for him, but it sounded like an arena in there.
Yeah, it was huge. And, Okada hasn't heard that for, 3 years now?
Right. Like, and Okada hasn't. Tanahashi hasn't.
No. Jay has, but not to that extent.
Not Jay's like that.
No, Jay hasn't heard that. And Jay, but so Jay has a little bit of it, but not to that extent. And I think that was another reason Jay was kind of playing up, like, why won't you cheer for me? Like, why are you still my family? Like, he's still looking for that validation from the fans. Like, even though I'm a bad guy, like, love me.
Yeah.
So I think it's probably very likely that Jon Moxley is going to win the interim championship. And I don't think that takes away from the match, though, because there is a slight possibility that Tana could win it and just they could completely turn it on its head and be something different. But even if it's the very obvious thing, it's going to be, they're two of the best. Like, it's going to be a great match. It's a match that we've been waiting for a very long time. They're going to put everything they have into it. It's going to be incredible. I think you have to close the show with it. I don't understand. I don't know why there's waning interest, and I think hopefully they'll just, once they get the card together, maybe that'll bring in something. Clearly there's interest because it sold out. Jay White sold it out.
It's sold out, and then every time they release tickets, they sell out.
Yeah.
So exactly. It's like you're doing something is going on. Like, it's one of the biggest things on the secondary market, period, right now.
And
like if it's not popular, then why does every single ticket?
And it's selling out without a card.
Room.
Yeah, and it's selling out without a card. Like, and it sold out
with all this crazy BS going on.
Yeah, and it sold out in what was it, 36 minutes, I think is what the
it was
something insane. Quick. Like, when that's without a card. Like, so people, there's definitely, interest there. Maybe it is for the people who are like us, where they watch both they watch both AEW and New Japan, so this is what we're interested in. But I think that there really is interest from people who, AEW fans who don't watch New Japan and things like that. So I'm very excited for the show. It'll be interesting to see how the next 2 weeks go, and how they handle things. And now we've got, now we have Will Ospreay, who has the US title that'll probably be defended. Sounds like maybe Kenta will be.
Hopefully it doesn't eat him alive or something.
At this point, it might.
I mean,
we might have some stranger things happening over here.
With sucks him into another dimension or something, and then it's like, who wants me now? Nobody.
No, stay in that dimension. Stay out there by yourself. Take TJP and Chase Owens with you.
And put Karl Fredericks in the G1.
Yes, this is what you get. You didn't put Karl Fredericks in the G1, and now your champion got sucked into another dimension. Look at what you did.
Look what you've done.
Yeah, so a lot. So we knew Dominion. That's why we waited to record this show, because we knew Dominion was going to be important, but we didn't know it was going to be this important. We didn't know that. We didn't know that Jay White was going to take that title from Okada.
This is why you watched in the end, really. Is that because at any moment, and especially New Japan, is that it's not like they screwed me or they did some weird thing. I don't feel like effed over by New Japan. I feel like, oh my God, they did it to me again. They did it. And I love it. And I hate it all at the same time.
Yeah.
But it is the reason that I prefer that style of everything. I mean, the wrestling's great, and I love, watching them just beat the crap. I mean, there were some great chops in all the matches.
Right.
I mean, Okada did some things. He threw himself over a barricade at one point and cleared it. And I was just like, what?
Crow Stratton's pointing out that, he was a sprinter and could have done that instead and probably made a great career out of it. But instead he translated it into wrestling and, took out Jay White with a crossbody when he cleared it. And because that's the thing, Okada has some long legs. Okada is tall.
He's big.
To clear those things, he's got to run and put some speed into it, some height. Man. Yeah, he's just incredible.
It was a good show, and
it was.
I enjoyed the show.
I did too. And like we said, there were some things like KOPW ended up being way more fun than it should have been. And, they had some surprise things with, Carl Anderson I didn't see winning the title. And so they had a couple little things like that. There was no big, this person came back, but that's because Kenta came back, at the end he came back at VOSJ. So they knew what they were doing. Clearly. They're like, well, Jay is going to be the thing that dominates this show. So we're going to bring Kenta back. We're going to bring Sonata back on the BOSJ show, because we're about to blow everybody's mind next week. So it was a good show. I enjoyed it. Dominion was fun. We're going into Forbidden Door in 2 weeks. We've got the G1 right after that. Now there's, who knows? We don't know how long CM Punk's going to be out. And so that could make some interesting things for All Out. And there's the All Atlantic title. We could have Kenta or somebody from Japan win that and take that title with them. And so there's a lot of interesting things. It's not going to stop at Forbidden Door. I think we're going to, and then, Lance Archer is going to be in G1. So it's not just going to stop. It's not going to be the Forbidden Door is over. I think they're gonna set up, because I think at this point then you have to set up something for Wrestle Kingdom. Is it CM Punk coming back and he wrestles at Wrestle Kingdom, or is it, that's, some people thought maybe we'd get Mox versus Tana at Wrestle Kingdom, so maybe they replace it with something. So it seems like Wrestle Kingdom will probably, like, I don't want to get my hopes up and like assume, but it seems like now that travel is opening up and things like that, and we've seen Jericho obviously in several Wrestle Kingdoms, we've seen Moxley there. Maybe we see Danielson there, or so it just seems like it's not going to just stop here. Like, I think they're going to build towards some other stuff and continuing their relationship, and so it'll be really interesting to see what happens in the next few weeks. I think.
I agree. I think that's definitely true.
Yes. So I think that's pretty much everything for us. We've been chatting for a while, but this G1,
that was important.
This G1 and like the Karl Fredericks stuff, that that was important, and then Jay White just completely threw us off for a loop, and now it kind of changes the landscape of Forbidden Door and what they're doing there and what New Japan's doing in general, because it'll be interesting to see who Jay, because Jay is going to be in the G1 now, and so he's going to not be defending his title for a little bit. So who's going to be his first big feud when he gets done? When does Okada get a rematch? Who are they gonna? So there's a lot of things that are gonna be happening.
Well, and is he gonna make it to Wrestle Kingdom with that belt?
Yeah, that's very true, because there's
a lot of problems. Plenty going on in the world,
right? And like they say, once you get that title, the target's on your back. So, and people are going to look to weaken him, I think, in the G1. They're going to try to make it so that when they're going to go for his knees, or they're going to go for his arm or something, and or his ribs, and they're going to try to weaken him some. So whenever the G1 is over and he has to defend that title, or maybe Okada gets his rematch and Okada is like, maybe, and then I would assume we get Okada versus Jay at some point during the G1, maybe. So maybe he gets a little bit of, he may not get, it might obviously not going to be for the title, but he might get a little bit of revenge because Jay, he definitely went after him. He went after those ribs.
Yeah,
a lot. Hard. He went, and there was times where he was like wincing, and he went after the knee, and he was focusing on the hips and stuff. So like Jay, he was very meticulous about what he was doing, and so I think Okada's gonna be ready.
That chest bump on the apron was like the craziest thing I've ever seen. Like, oh my god.
Yeah.
Yikes.
Yeah. And then Jay was just being disrespectful, like he was holding Okada by the wrist and walking him around the ring. Yeah. And he did it a couple of times, and so
Why aren't you cheering for him? This is what you want to say. You're such a prick, and I love it.
I know. Yeah, exactly. So Okada's definitely going to want to get his back in. Yes. So it might be at the G1. Maybe we get to see a little bit there, and then maybe we get a rematch at whatever comes after G1. I don't remember which show is.
Yeah, I always forget that, but it is that sort of last chance to make sure that the guy who won the G1 should get the contract.
Yeah, so exactly.
There is and for the life of me, I
always forget the name of that damn show. It's not Genesis, right? That's later. Wait, is it Genesis?
No, that's early in the year.
No, that's right. It's the other way. I can't.
No, see, let's not mess it up.
No.
Everyone that knows.
Yes, exactly. Okay. So before we get off on another tangent about what Jay White did today, we're going to end this here so we can free up and get it up. It is going up a little bit. I think they're going to try to get it out a little bit quickly. Like we said, we wanted to record late because we wanted to get this in because there's a lot that happened. And so as always, make sure that you're following Powerbombshells on Twitter. We will tell you when the show is uploaded. We'll tell you, we'll be back next Sunday on Forbidden Door. We will not be because somebody not me there. I was say somebody not me.
We're gonna have to work that out somehow. We'll figure out how that's all gonna go.
So there might not be I don't know if there'll be a show that week. Maybe it's later that week. We'll figure it out when we get closer, but we'll be back next week. Who knows what the hell will happen in the next week? We'll have by the time Dynamite comes, we should know, who's going to accept what match. Maybe we figure out who Hangman is wrestling and who Adam Cole is wrestling, and maybe we figure out who Ospreay and his title are coming, and maybe Roppongi Vice is gonna get
shot.
Maybe Roppongi Vice gets a shot at Greatest Okan and Jeff Cobb's titles because they screwed them up a couple weeks ago. So, or this last week too. So, there's a lot of things happening and unfolding. So I'm sure by the time we come next Sunday, we'll have a lot to talk about. I know we've been talking about New Japan and AEW a lot, but there's a lot that's been happening. And a lot that's been happening. Eventually, I'm going to get around to getting caught up on Deadlock Pro Wrestling. I still have I'm 4 weeks behind, 4 or 5 weeks behind on Strong. I'm trying to decide if I'm just going to start watching Strong where it's at, or if I'm going to try to.
Yeah, I watched a couple of episodes this week, and I just can't decide.
Yeah, and I know, because I already know. Obviously, I know about J.A. White and Hikuleo. I knew about that. I know what happened with Tom Law, which those are the Philadelphia shows airing now. Is that what
I think?
I think it started last night.
They were up today.
Yeah, so we know what's happening with that. So I may just start with the Philly shows and just go from there. And then forward. I still have some women's wrestling army that I've got to. I still haven't watched that yet, and so we will eventually talk about things that are not New Japan and AEW. It just might take us a little while to get there. But yeah, so make sure you're following us. Make sure you're subscribed to the YouTube channel. Like I said, it's not just us putting out a bunch of content. There's a lot of people putting out a really good content there and on Patreon. Make sure you're subscribing to Patreon to hear some of that stuff, and they cover all kinds. It's not just AEW and New Japan. There's some Impact stuff. There's all kinds of stuff, and so make sure you're doing that. But yeah, definitely make sure you're subscribed to Fight Game Media and follow us, and we will be back next week and talking about probably some more of the same stuff, and you'll just have to deal with it. And so I think that's it for us this week, and unless there's anything else you want to add.
Nope, that's it. I'm good.
All right. Well, thank you for your time. We know we went long again this week too, so we are trying to be more conscientious of your time. But then there's things like this that happen, and things like last week that happen, and make us go a little bit over. So we appreciate
whatever. You love it.
So we appreciate the best free
content around. Thank you for hanging out with us.
But thank you. Yes, always thank you for hanging out with us. Thanks for interacting on Twitter with us, and we will see you next week.
Go Ace.
Please let us have this.